Mina Kimes tweeted out the other day that she was looking through the NFL. Mina Kimes, who works for ESPN, and she identified defensive back. Anthony, if you want to give me the Mina Kimes tweet, whenever you get a chance, please, sir. Slacker. Mina Kimes identified defensive back / cornerback as the primary need for 20 of the 32 NFL teams.
Cornerback specifically.
Cornerbacks. Yeah. Now, this is just Mina Kimes' opinion. It's not the end-all, be-all. But we've talked on numerous occasions here about Greg Newsom potentially being a trade possibility for the Cleveland Browns. Knowing what Newsom brings to the table as a player, knowing the needs across the league at that specific position, do you think we may be undervaluing Greg Newsom's trade value if the Browns were to explore that option at some point this offseason? But let's start with you.
I don't think so. I mean, I think he is what he is. He's an okay player. He's best as a third corner. I think, but all it takes is one team to think he's better than that. But the thing with trading for Greg Newsom is, well, you're already thinking about a new contract, right? Like if you trade for him after this year, if you're trading for him, if you're giving up anything of significance, you have to trade for him with the thought that you're going to extend him, right? Because
probably. Yeah.
Right? So nobody's giving up. Because if we're talking about combining him with the second-round pick to move up in the second round, well, nobody's going to do that if they don't think Greg Newsom is a guy that's part of their long-term plans. They're not doing that for one season. That doesn't make any sense. So do any teams look at Greg Newsom and say, I got to trade for that guy and I got to drop 20 picks in the second round because he's my cornerback of the future? As an amateur, I don't see that. But I don't know. Davis, you played. Do you see that?
Listen, is Greg Newsom's return high right now? If Mina Kimes' report is correct, then yes, because I always tell you that an important thing is to have a corner. You need a lockdown corner.
But is he a lockdown corner?
Greg Newsom, let me tell you what makes Greg Newsom different than a lot of corners.
Okay.
Difference between Greg Newsom and a lot of corners is Greg Newsom is a corner that you could tell, hey, go check that guy wherever he goes. He has the ability to play inside and outside. Not a lot of corners can play inside in the slot. So he does have that. He has made some plays while playing that nickel position as well. The thing with him is, do you see him as a number one corner? No, I don't think he's a legit number one corner. But everybody usually wants that number two corner to be a guy that can go inside and play slot, which he does provide. If you can find it, you're not going to find a guy in the draft early on, because slot corners don't get drafted early. They get drafted like 4th, 5th round. So if you're looking for a guy who can be a solid number two that can also have a lot of production on the inside and you value him, then yeah, his trade value is really good right now. But I do believe that a lot of teams won't look at him there because I don't know if you want to pay him. That's the thing.
Right.
It comes to the payment. Do I want to pay Greg Newsom? And if I do want to pay Greg Newsom, what is he projected to have? And that's where it gets tricky because nickels don't get paid the big money. Outside corners do, but you got to be a true number one outside to get that big time money.
Right.
And he had moments this season where he had the opportunity to solidify himself as being a good outside corner, and he missed out on some. Then in the playoffs, he had some plays where he just didn't look good. Yeah. So ultimately, the best return for him, I don't see you moving up into the first round. Like, that's not going to happen.
Maybe they could move up 6 picks.
Yeah,
or
you
8
could move
picks.
up. And yeah.
But could they even move up?
That's not
well,
worth it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, his best value is with the Cleveland Browns because you have 3 corners that can play with anybody and line up.
The only thing I would argue, and probably it's not worth it, it is possible that the Browns are picking it, what are they picking, 52? 54. Maybe there's a guy at 40 or 42 that they're like, this guy should, we had him with a first-round grade. He's dropped to 40. The team wants Greg. Okay, we're willing to trade up now. That's unlikely, but that's possible.
I think there's better ways to move up 12 picks than trading a guy.
Probably true.
It's the team. Like, what team? Because essentially you're trading for a nickel.
Right.
I can go get that in the 4th, 5th round.
Right. But if you're trading for Greg, you're trading for him to be
a number.
Outside.
Exactly. You're looking at him as your number 2 outside corner.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. If the Browns could get a second-round pick, not a trade up, a second-round pick,
For Greg Newsom?
Yeah.
I send him tomorrow.
You do it? You too, Jason?
Probably.
Do you think Cam
but I
Mitchell
don't-
is good enough to be their
I
third?
send him tomorrow.
I don't think that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
That's
Probably
why I
not,
say
but-
I will send him.
Right, you do.
I'd run it over there.
Yeah.
Sign that right now. Let's go.
I am not in a big rush to trade Greg Newsom. I know it seems to come up quite a bit, but I think he's pretty good. And corners are
Hard to get.
yes.
Hard to get.
I don't know why everyone's in such a hurry to run him out. Of here.
Everybody's in a hurry to run him out. One, because of the antics from last offseason, where he kind of requested the trade, but didn't request the trade. And then this season, having the ability, after having all those antics about I don't want to play nickel.
I don't wanna play
I don't want to play
inside.
slot.
Right. Yeah.
You get the opportunity when Denzel goes down to be an outside and you didn't look great. So they're like, that's why you play it in
He
the
got
slot.
cooked a couple times.
Exactly.
outside.
So
I
that's-
also think
absolutely.
and then on top of that, Cam Mitchell came in and played really well in the slot.
But I kind
And
of
they
want to
have-
see that again.
I do too.
True, guys, and that may be ultimately why they wait till next year to move on. But
and it might be too late by then.
you're
might
already paying one corner. You're probably going to pay the other corner. You
Yeah.
can't pay big money to three corners. Probably not.
Well-
So, and if the Browns believe Cam Mitchell is as good as Greg Newsom, and I'm not saying they do, but if they think he can be, or even close to Greg Newsom, and if you could use Greg Newsom to get something that could help you in another area, it makes sense. But I don't think the Browns should trade him just to trade him.
No.
And it kind of feels
But
like
if they giving up a second round pick, he's gone.
Yeah,
'Cause
I mean, I don't think they could
you
get that,
selling,
but
you
yeah.
selling high.
Right.
and I mean, they knew right away with MJ Emerson, that guy's better than Greg. He's the outside Greg. You're going inside.
Right.
So maybe they have decided Cam Mitchell is the real deal. I kind of want a fifth round rookie. I kind of want to see it again before we sort of make that determination. And I kind of wonder, like the Njoku contract looked so out of sorts at the time, right?
It did.
Now he has lived up to it.
Yes.
And they got it right. But in the moment, we were like, damn, that's a lot of money for David Njoku.
Yes.
And I kind of wonder if because remember, he was not happy at one time. And I wonder if they told him, we will make you whole. We're, just be patient with us. We're going to take care of you. They could easily tell Greg Newsom the same thing. There's a happy medium between what a normal slot corner makes and what a number two corner makes. And they could tell him, I know this isn't your favorite role. I know you want to be out here. We're going to make you whole and we'll take care of you. And maybe they give him a contract that's a little bit above grade of an inside guy, not quite to obviously the numbers of a number one or even a number two.
But the only problem is when the other guy's contract comes up, like
Now you got to pay Emerson.
some
more.
now you got three guys that's making decent money, and now somebody's going to be a cap casualty because of that.
Well, and I agree with that.
So that's
but
the
I've
problem.
also been saying for years you can't keep paying guards $17 million a year, and
And they
by
keep
God,
doing
they
it.
keep paying their guards.
And
Well,
the Browns
all
haven't
I
had
hear-
cap casualties yet.
all I know,
but it's coming. I know, like it's crying wolf.
Yeah.
all I know is that I am so mad. I woke up this morning and I am so mad at Russell Wilson. He got my boy Justin Simmons cut, man. That's messed up, man.
How's that Russell?
Because he getting paid $85 million and they can't afford to pay Justin Simmons
their
his
fault.
contract. Nah,
It's
man.
not Russell Wilson's fault.
It is Russell Wilson's
You wouldn't have
fault.
taken that money?
Yes. Listen, well, Russell Wilson, what you did was genius, okay?
Yeah.
You said, listen, I don't know if this going to work or not, but I ain't stepping foot on that field till I sign my deal. And they said, you know what? Let's sign you this extension before you ever take a snap for the Denver Broncos. You are the best businessman I've ever seen. I salute you, my brother. You are rich for life for what you did. But you and Von Miller, because Von Miller got my boy Trey White cut with the Bills because of his contract. Man, y'all, it's messed up. Happy Holmes
Yeah, two
is
good
getting
free
ruined.
agents, Simmons and White, on the market right
The
now.
free agent
Which
safety
waters
market.
down the Greg Newsom thing too. Trey White,
That's true.
Xavier Howard.
Yeah.
The free agent safety market's really good. Like, really, really good. Xavier McKinney's a free agent. The Giants decided not to tag him. You have Simmons out there. There's a bunch of other guys across the league. And if you're looking for a
Safeties don't.
safety.
That market's going to be nothing because safeties don't generally get paid that much.
Hey.
Although Jesse Bates got a lot of money.
Whoa. Safeties is very important.
Yeah.
In this
I didn't say it
league.
wasn't important. They just generally don't get paid a lot. Isn't that true?
It's been different the last few years.
Listen, they
That's why
paid.
Tyvus is sitting here
in
with
fairness,
I'm
us.
telling you.
They paid Bates a lot of money, and he played great.
Well, if y'all want to go the cheap route, listen, I will drop 15 pounds and I'll make a comeback now. Listen, I drop
Let me ask
15,
you one
I'll
more
be
thing
back.
on Newsom real quick,
Yeah.
and then we'll move on. But theoretically speaking, Newsom and 54, if the Browns were to package those together, I know you touched on it a little bit. Could they get into the first round? Could they move
No.
up 10
No.
picks? Could
No.
they get
I don't think
a
so.
player, a starting caliber player back? What do you think the best return on investment for Newsom plus 54 could be?
I said, would you do it for a 2? Which everybody said yes, and I even though I brought it up, I don't think that's realistic.
No, I don't think it's
I
realistic.
think that
I think it's
what
a
you
third
what
or
you
fourth round pick.
What you'll give for Greg
No,
Newsom,
Newsom and 54. Could
Oh,
those-
Newsom and 50.
What
If you
you'll
package
get-
Newsom and 54 together, what's the best you could get into the first
Probably
round?
early
An
second
early
round.
second round pick. What do you
Yeah, I
think?
think you could move up like
late 30s, early
yeah,
40s.
yeah,
And
second round.
that's not worth it. To me.
That's not because you're giving up essentially a good player with a guy who potentially might become a good player for somebody
For a dude that might
that's
fall to
in
you.
the second round anyway.
How do you know he wouldn't even fall?
Yeah.
That's true.
You're right.